Not watched since I think 1979, and I don't think I'll be watching today. But it reminds me that some big things happen in my life around this time of the year. Two huge things. Three, if you count Super Bowl III in 1968, the last time the team that I liked won the Super Bowl. That was the New York Jets. Anybody remember that? Yeah. Anyway, well, you're as old as me, I guess. Yeah, Namath guaranteed it, not just predicted it. He guaranteed it. Anyway, that wasn't such a big deal. But let's see. In 1976, right around this time of the year, I went out for the first time with Hillary. That was definitely a defining moment in my life. And then, right around this time of the year again, in 1997, so 28 years ago, I went on my first chiropractic mission trip to Panama. I went on 6 chiropractic mission trips to Central America between 97 and 2002. And thank you. I went back in 2017 also. I don't get a hand for that one, all right. So these were huge things in my life for many reasons. I've talked about them before, but if you haven't heard, we took care of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. The first trip, 18 chiropractors, myself included, and Hillary and my daughter, who was our mascot, because she was like 9 years old at the time. In 5 days, we adjusted 46,000 people, 18 of us. And we were invited back by the First Lady of Panama, who was one of those 46,000 people. And 96 chiropractors descended on Panama City in September of 97, and we adjusted 220,000 people. And there were people waiting online. We were the only thing in Panama that ran on time. And we'd show up at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is when we were supposed to be there, and there'd be 5,000 people waiting in line for us. And we didn't advertise. And so anyway, I could talk for days about stories. I'll just continue where I was going. In May of 98, 147 chiropractors I say descended on the country of Panama, because now not only were we in Panama City, but we're in every town or city in Panama with 5,000 or more people, most of which never heard of white people, let alone chiropractic. And by the end of 5 days again, we had adjusted 385,000 people. This is a country at that time of about 2.5 million people, so a pretty good chunk of the population. We went back again. I don't know what happened after that. I don't remember the numbers, but on the 4th trip, I happened to be working by myself in a gymnasium, and they told me at the end of the 5 hours I had adjusted 2,000 people myself. And I would have told you that was impossible. I would have told you I couldn't shake hands with 2,000 people in 5 hours, but they showed me the signatures. People were signing in. And people healed up before our eyes. And again, I could talk for days. All I will tell you is the entire vibrational energy of the country changed. Before our eyes, everybody was smiling. They're smiley people anyway. The crime rate in Panama City went down significantly. And, you know, a lot of us who went and a lot of us who heard about this kind of still trying to figure out what happened. But the reason I'm bringing all this up is because I learned a lot there that I think would benefit all of us. And I learned all these things because of the very unique circumstances. I don't know if you can imagine taking care of 2,000 people in 5 hours that you can't talk to. Well, Well, it's a heck of a lot easier than taking care of 2,000 people who you can talk to. 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 2 And that was part of the magic. There was no attachment. I didn't know these people. I couldn't talk to these people. I couldn't follow up with these people. I couldn't find out what they thought was wrong with these people. A lot of them would obviously be pointing to something and going, ow, 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 mucho dolor. I've learned some Spanish since then. But it was a blessing. I didn't know any Spanish then. I learned 2 words, yo también. And that's not even right. When they would complain of pain, I was attempting to say, me too. What I found out I was saying, I too. No wonder they laughed. So again, the circumstances were so unique and so different that they revealed what was possible to me in every moment. My most authentic expression was revealed because of these circumstances. Because I couldn't talk to them, I couldn't get involved in expectations, I couldn't get involved in personalities or conditions or symptoms or results or what the people thought about me or anything other than loving, giving, and serving. And that's why it worked so well. And I'm like, maybe I can make it more like Panama back home, right? I thought about getting rid of all my stuff in my chiropractic office and just putting in 2 black metal folding chairs, which is what we used in Panama, and getting rid of my staff and getting rid of my phone and getting rid of all this stuff. I actually thought of hanging out with my mother-in-law. This is how desperate I was. To learn Yiddish so I could speak a different language from the people who came in to see me. Then I realized, well, I'll still understand what they're saying, so it's not going to work, which is good. So I decided, instead of trying to recreate the circumstances, I said, well, maybe what was different in Panama was me. So I dedicated myself to becoming the me that I was in Panama, back here in my practice and in my life where the real mission is. Are you with me here? And none of you are chiropractors, but hopefully as I go through these things, you can relate. Because I identified 7 areas that were completely different for me under these circumstances that I knew I could do better at in my life. Because I never experienced so much love, so much connection, so much presence, so much everything that I ever wanted in life in these unique circumstances. They said, I want more of that. And I want more of that for the people I take care of at home. So, you with me here? I identified 7 lessons that I learned there, 7 gifts really. And these 7 lessons were huge for me in my growth, not just in my career, but in my life. And I think they could be a blessing to you too. You ready? Number 1, non-attachment. Especially to things that don't matter. When we're attached to something, as it goes, we go, right? In other words, when we have it, we're happy. When we don't have it, we're sad, right? We have an attachment to it, meaning that our state of consciousness changes depending on whether we have it or not, or how much we have, or how little we have, right? So please understand, it's okay to have preferences. We will always prefer things to be a certain way, but it becomes an attachment when we need it. So all the things that I was attached to in my practice, like people liking me and paying me and healing up before my eyes, and all these things that I had an attachment to, I couldn't have an attachment to in Panama. And it worked better. It worked better when I was more concerned with what was in it for them than what was in it for me. Non-attachment. So the things, again, that are normally on my mind when I interact with people or serve people or whatever, were not. They didn't affect what I did. They didn't affect how I dealt with people. Like in my office, if I know somebody's paying me $100, I might treat them a little differently than if they're paying me $5. On some level, yes? Okay. So it didn't affect my ability to love. The only things that I remember being on my mind were connecting and experiencing and loving and serving and giving. And I never got so much back, ever. So I went home and I said, let's start upgrading some of my attachments to preferences. And I suggest that we can all think about that. And so as I go through these, and there are 7 of them, and you probably don't have paper and pen anyway, but if you do, you might want to jot some things down. Or listen to the recording later and jot them down. All right, so what, if you were to make a list of things you were attached to that interfered with your ability to express love, peace, abundance, and joy, what would you write? Do you have one in mind? Yeah, you don't have to tell me, but log it away. Because again, all these 7 things are things we can focus on to experience more love, peace, abundance, and joy. Anybody with me now? Okay, good. That was number 1. Number 2, I call it a total reliance on principles. Because I didn't have any mental gymnastics going on in my head, because I had no information to sink my teeth into, I had no food for my brain, I was forced to rely on principles. And as I've mentioned before, the principles of chiropractic are almost exactly the same as the principles of unity. Number 1 being that everybody that I adjusted is already whole, already perfect, already complete. All I got to do is find maybe where there's a little interference to the expression of that perfection and beauty within them, and then step aside and say, go forth and multiply or whatever you want to do. We again, some of us attempted to learn to say, I'm going to move the bone, God's going to do the healing. And amazingly, in Panama, that's enough. That's more than enough. That's enough to get them to come back the next day with 30 people from their town. One guy was telling people all day, I'm going to move an egg. God's going to do the healing. Because in Spanish, bone is hueso and egg is huevo. He got it wrong. I moved the egg, God does the healing, and that was enough. And the people would come back with bushels of eggs the next day for us to move. It's not really true, but it just proved to me that we were better off staying silent. And again, relying on principle worked a lot better. I never experienced such powerful healing energy, such powerful connection with people. So I ask you again, just to note, what pulls you away from the principles you hold most dear? And I'm not judging, because we all bend them from time to time. Hopefully we're not like Groucho Marx, who said, those are my principles. If you don't like them, I have others. No. Number 3, the power of presence. I got to tell you, I have never adjusted in more chaotic, hotter, more crowded, noisier conditions. Most of the time, there was a kid crawling up and down my leg. It was hot. I mean, you're talking about thousands of people in a gym, loud, deafening, and I don't know how to describe it other than by saying each person that I adjusted was the only person that existed in the universe. And that moment with that person was the only moment that existed in the universe. I had never been so present. And I know, again, it's because there was no, three-ring circus going on in my mind. Can you think of ways you can apply that idea and be a little more present in life? Good. Number 4, the power of intention. I have to tell you that as far as I can remember, not once in those 6 mission trips did I ever have a thought about what was wrong with somebody. Even though they tried to tell me, thank God I couldn't understand. No, each person was simply a beautiful, unique expression of God. They were God walking in all day with different earth suits. They all had the same beautiful dark eyes. How would things be different in your life if you paid more attention to what was right with people than what was wrong? And I didn't have a thought in those 6 mission trips of what was wrong with me or what I couldn't do. So what would your life be like if you focused more on what was right with you than what was wrong? Number 5. Touched on this already. I call it the importance of self-work. Again, it was very, very tempting to think about recreating the circumstances there so we can experience what we experienced there. But again, it became very clear to me, as I've already said, that what was different there was me. I need to work on me. Don't need to hang out with my mother-in-law and learn Yiddish. It would have been fun. So where in your life might you choose to examine yourself rather than blaming others or the world? Number 6. Have you heard of the KISS principle? Anybody here ever heard of the KISS principle? It's very judgmental. So I'm going to change it. Keep it simple, superstar. Man, the missions helped me realize how much I talk too much and how much I overcomplicate everything. Everything. I strove from those missions forward to simplify everything in my life, especially my practice, but also my life, every single day. And I got to tell you, I'm still working on that. And I don't think I'm still at the level of simplicity and purity and beauty and as on my mission trips. But I'm getting closer all the time, and every step of the way has borne beautiful fruit. God, we make it complicated. What in your life can use a little simplifying? And finally, number 7, and I call this in honor of Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? And the answer to that for me is everything. Everything. In fact, love is the natural byproduct of numbers 1 through 6. I discovered so much about love, and I undiscovered so much about love. I thought love was fixing people. Well, love is honoring that they are whole and holding a vision, and then celebrating with them as they step into that vision. The mission trips were deep experiences of love, but every moment, guys, every moment is an opportunity to express and experience love. And that's why the missions were such a gift to me, because I discovered 7 things that kept me from experiencing and expressing love. Namely, attachment, amnesia, especially to the principles that I believe in, not paying enough attention to my intention, a tendency to manipulate the world and others rather than look within, a tendency to overcomplicate things. I think I forgot one. Yeah. And overcomplicating, yes, overcomplicating things. These are the very things that keep me from experiencing and expressing love in every moment. So again, hopefully just by looking at one of these and giving it a little attention and focus and making it our purpose and our mission to be that. Hey, we do this. The Jets might even win another Super Bowl. Transforming any of these would make such a huge difference. So I think what I'll do in future talks is flesh out each one of these. But in the meantime, let's just close our eyes for a moment. Precious Spirit of love, thank you. Thank you for making things so simple. And thank you for our intention to stop complicating them. We honor, we know that we are each an oasis of love, peace, abundance, and joy. That these are our natural and normal states. That this is exactly what we would express and experience if we weren't busy focusing on other things. So we make this our focus, our life. And we're so blessed to be doing this together in community. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.